to the Bird Gang Nation Sports Media Show, repping the greatest team of all time. Let's go! Bird Gang 31, he be the host with the most. We going deep, burning teams. They ain't nothing but toast. It's Senior Estes. Sirianni put me in coach. Running like Miles Sanders till I bumped my head on the post. Touchdown! Yeah, that's coming. Devontae's crazy route running. Jalen hurting them, throwing lasers. The Rager Young gunning. Come on! On the D side, we ride, sack him with Fletcher, lay him out on the stretcher. No one can protect you. Watch Darius lay him, shutting down your routes. Come on. In my green John, eating Philly cheesesteaks. Put up your cups, wings up, if you can relate. Tailgating at the link like Gangsta Stride. To the Bird Gang Nation, that's worldwide. On Sundays, catch the pre and post game. Mondays is Birds on Broad Street with Philly Notion and Cool Cat, the man in motion. And Wednesdays, the midweek special got you open with JC from Eagles Talk. Hitting like B-Dog, baby.
Welcome to another episode of Bird Gang Nation Sports Talk. I'm your host, Bird Gang 31. Today, Nation, we have a very special guest in the house. It's Matt Moscona. If I pronounced that one right, I think I got it right, though.
Nailed it.
How you doing today, my guy?
Oh, man, I'm fired up. Love talking Saints. I appreciate the invite. And hoping this Sunday goes better for the good guys than it did last year up at the link, man.
Oh man, we don't know about that one yet. But go ahead and let everybody know where they can find you out on your social media platform. I know you're everywhere. You got, ESPN, your own channel, AFR. Let them talk. Let them know a little bit something about that.
Man, I always say if people can spell my name, you can find me on the internet. There's a lot of vowels, man. So I host Afternoon Drive on ESPN radio stations throughout Louisiana, New Orleans, Baton Rouge, Alexandria. We stream live on the 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge YouTube channel. Got my own YouTube channel. It's my name, Matt Moscona. I host a daily LSU podcast. I do a bunch of vlogs. Like I said, if you can spell my name, you can find me on the internet. I'm on every social media platform: Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. I'm LinkedIn. I'm there. So I appreciate the opportunity to come on, talk some ball.
And how long have you been covering the Saints?
Since 2007, but I have been like born and bred fan from, shot out the womb at Lakeside Hospital in Metairie, and grew up in New Orleans East. And my earliest memories were going to the Dome to watch the sorry. Can I curse on here?
Yeah, go for it.
Go watch the sorry ass Saints, but we loved them, man. Like both of my grandparents, my mom's parents and my dad's parents, both had seats in the lower level at the 40-yard line. One on the east side, one on the west side. So
wow,
we go to church. We go to Shoney's, eat the breakfast buffet. We go watch the Saints lose. It's part of my life. So, that's what we're gonna do. And I know we're gonna do my all-time Saints team. I was jotting it down. I'm like, this is easy. It's basically everyone in the Drew Brees era, because for 45 years the Saints were brutal. They were a brutal franchise. It took them 30 years before they won a playoff game. So it's the glory days for the Saints. But man, it kind of feels like it might be coming to an end a little bit.
Yeah, so I know you guys took some tough hits. Michael Thomas out this year. But what was your, Drew Brees retiring? But what was your outlook on the team this year before the season started, and how has it changed since then?
Okay, so anyone who follows my content knows, and a lot of people don't like me for this, but I don't BS anybody. Like I am not the homer guy. Like if I think they're good, I'm gonna tell you they're good. If I think they're gonna win, I'm gonna tell you I think they're gonna win. If I think they suck, I'm gonna tell you I think they suck. If I think they're gonna lose, I'm gonna tell you straight up. But I think people, even if they don't always like it, they respect it. I thought this team, we were not going to see them whole until we saw Michael Thomas come back, until we saw, we were all anticipating a suspension for Marshawn Lattimore because of his offseason arrest. Like, there were a lot of things with this team that we thought, all right, just get to the bye above 500, and then you can probably find a way to finish the season above 500. I thought this was probably a 9-win team that I hoped could fall one more game on the positive and get to 10. Because I thought 10-7 would put them in the playoffs. And they're right in line for that. Mm-hmm. But, man, they haven't had a 3-game losing streak since 2016. And they're on the verge of it someday if they can't figure out how to score some points. So I thought they'd be 10-7, 9-8, 10-7 right in that mix. And I think it's still doable. But, man, look, that was all predicated on Jameis Winston being healthy. That was predicated on Michael Thomas coming back. I mean, that was predicated on not having your offensive line gutted like what's happened to this team right now. I mean, they're hurting in a way that I haven't seen an NFL team. Well, let me rephrase. The Saints right now are in a similar position that San Francisco was a year ago, when all them dudes from that Super Bowl team just got wrecked by injury, and they became a team that ends up picking 3rd overall. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of what's happening to this team right now.
Mm-hmm. How'd you like Mark Ingram coming back, though?
Man, it's all right. All right, Mark Ingram, and I'm an LSU guy as well, so I had to deal with Mark Ingram in Alabama.
Yep. The
Saints drafted Mark Ingram, and a lot of people here were excited about it when they did. But remember, they traded back into round 1 to get him. I'm giving you this context because this matters. They traded another first-round pick. So basically, gave him 2 first-rounders for Mark Ingram. And he never became a consistent back until midway through his second contract. Basically, I've always looked at Mark Ingram and gone, man, they gave him way too much to get you. You're an average NFL running back, and they gave up way. If Mark Ingram were a 4th-round pick, I'd love him. But because they gave up to get him, it was always a little sour. I didn't mind seeing him go when he left for Baltimore. Sean Payton's always kind of had this MO. He'd rather get rid of a player. You'll appreciate this. He'd rather get rid of a player a year too soon than a year too late. That's why they let Darren Sproles walk away when they traded. But that's one where they missed. Sproles still had some gas left in the tank.
Yes, he did.
Clearly he did. But the flip, look, another one is Malcolm Jenkins. They let Malcolm Jenkins walk, and Sean Payton. Look, how about like the 2 players that won't go to Philly? But the flip side of it is sometimes you have guys like Ingram, who, I mean, that gas tank was empty. I mean, he was puttering in Houston this year. He was averaging 2 yards a carry. But man, it's been an injection of life having him back. When Mark Ingram was a guy that gave up 2 first-round picks for, and he was just an okay runner, I didn't like him. When Mark Ingram was a guy you gave up a 2024 7th-round pick for, and you're paying him the league minimum, I like him a lot more like that.
Right. And you got to think, too, he was on the Texans, man. Texans aren't that good over there. You know what I'm saying?
But go look at his production every year. So since Lamar's MVP year, which was Ingram's first year in Baltimore, and he averaged about 4.5 yards a carry, maybe close to 5 yards a carry. Every year since then, it just step down. I mean, running backs hit 30, they just fall off a cliff, man. That's what's happened to him. But this coming back to New Orleans has been an injection of life for him. There's no doubt.
Do you think he's going to be able to carry that load now that Kamara, I heard, might not be playing this week?
He's out. Kamara's out.
Again?
He's out. So
yeah, see.
I mean, to answer your question, he's got to. There's nobody else. I mean, so they got Tony Jones Jr., who's an undrafted kid out of Notre Dame, who blew up this preseason. And people were really excited because remember, they had Latavius Murray, and they let Murray walk in free agency. It was kind of a cap casualty situation. So they needed that complement for Kamara, because the way Peyton runs this offense, he's got Kamara, who's the flash and dash guy, but he needs someone that can take that workload off. That's what Ingram was. When they let Ingram walk, they brought in Latavius Murray. Well, Murray was a cap casualty this year, and so Tony Jones was a guy that they were really excited about. He blew up in the preseason. But he got hurt. It's been the story of the season. So it's kind of been a revolving door. They brought Ingram back. But Tony Jones Jr.'s back this week. He may play. But Ingram's got to carry the load. I mean, there's just there isn't.
What was the other running back name? Who was your backup too? He got hurt too, right? The other running back on the Saints.
You talking about Dwayne Washington?
Which one?
Dwayne Washington?
It was Kamara, and then another like semi-named guy. I can't think of his name. I just was looking at it too. Who's your top 3 running backs over there?
I mean, it's Kamara. Now it's Mark Ingram. To start the season, it was Tony Jones. They played Dwayne Washington. I mean, it's been kind of a revolving door over there. I mean, unless you're talking about Taysom Hill.
Yeah. Oh, no. I wasn't talking about Taysom. But he's out too, right?
So Taysom is questionable. He's back from his concussion, and he played last week, but he hurt his foot. Mm-hmm. So he practiced on a limited basis earlier in the week, but he's been out since. So he's questionable for the game on Sunday, man. It's just, bro, who's going to move the football? You got Trevor Siemian at quarterback.
Right.
You got an aging Mark Ingram at running back. The Saints, listen, the other big story is the 2 starting tackles, Teron Armstead, Ryan Ramczyk, who, when healthy, are arguably the best tandem in the NFL. I think Ryan Ramczyk is the best right tackle in the NFL. They're both out. The Saints are already missing Andres Pete, who's their starting left tackle. So you got 3 new starters on the offensive line. You don't have Alvin Kamara. There's not a wide receiver on the team you've heard of, and Taysom Hill might be out as well. I mean, tell me how this team's going to score points.
Why don't you think they give Ian Book a shot if he's not good enough yet?
Yeah, I think Sean Payton. It's a good question, and they may get to the point where he will. He'll be Trevor Siemian's backup this week. Mm-hmm. Because the way Sean Payton approaches a game week is, and this is what he did with Drew Brees, if you remember, even with Taysom Hill. When Brees got injured, Jameis had spent the week as the backup, and Taysom Hill was in his Taysom Hill role, right, where he runs and catches and does all stuff. Well, if they game plan with Taysom in the game plan, they don't play him at quarterback. Mm-hmm. So then when last year when Brees got hurt, Jameis finished that game against the Niners, and the next week and the next weeks, Taysom, so he started the game in Philly last year. Y'all saw him.
Yeah.
But now with Taysom questionable in that role, you got Siemian as the starter and Ian Book's the backup. So why not play him? Sean Payton ain't gonna mess around with a rookie. I mean, he's just got to have someone who can function in his offense and not turn the ball over. And that's what Trevor Siemian has done so far. He's been really good at protecting the football, but he's not the kind of guy that's going to stretch the field or wow you with his arm or make the play that's going to win a game for you. And man, the last couple of weeks, they got down to Atlanta, they got down to Tennessee, and they rallied in the fourth quarter. But man, like they got to find a way to generate offense earlier in the game. That's been a big mantra this week. They got to find a way to generate offense earlier in the game because you just got to flip it to where the clock can be an extra defender, and let the other team play from behind and have to manage the clock and be more aggressive with their play call. And maybe that's what they did against Tampa a couple weeks ago. They forced Tom Brady into 3 turnovers, man.
Right.
6-6 seal the game because they made him play from behind. So I don't know, man. I think they got to put Jalen Hurts. Yeah, I know the question was about Ian Book, and I'm rambling, but man, they just got to make Jalen Hurts play from behind. You got to make him play catch up. Yeah,
because your defense is pretty good, though. You guys have anybody on defense not playing this week?
Defense is awesome, and actually, yeah. So, the Saints, the Saints defense has been fantastic. I mean, they're the best run defense in the NFL, 72 yards a game. They're awesome. I don't know if you know this, but the Saints had a streak. Do y'all know about the running game streak, the 100-yard rusher streak?
No.
Okay, so you'll appreciate this. So the Saints went 64 games without allowing a 100-yard rusher. It set the NFL record.
Whoa.
Until they played in Philly last year when Miles Sanders and Jalen Hurts both went over 100. Mm-hmm. That was the first time in like 4 years the Saints had allowed a 100-yard rusher in a game. And nobody's done it since. So, I mean, it's been, I think, 70 games now. And the Eagles were the only in 70 games to have a 100-yard rusher. They had 2 in the same game. So I know Miles Sanders isn't going to play, so that's a little bit of a breather. But about the Saints defense,
Chauncey Gardner, Miles might play.
What's that?
They said Miles might play this week.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, who's a really dynamic nickel, he's out. He's on IR.
Ooh.
And then we learned today that 2 defensive linemen, Malcolm Roach and Tano Passanio, who are rotational players, but give the Saints a lot of good snaps. They're both out this week as well with knee and ankle injuries. So they're going to be a little short on numbers. But, man, they have been so dominant in the front seven, man. They're just Dennis Allen, ever since he came back in this stint as defensive coordinator, has just made it a focus. Like, stopping the run is going to be an attitude, and we're going to let people run the ball. And literally in the history of the NFL, nobody's done it better. I mean, the streak that they're on. So, a big focus this week has been how do you stop Jalen Hurts from running the football, because that it hurt him last year in that game in Philly. So they're down a couple dudes on that defensive line, but they should be okay there.
Nice, man. Okay, so who are you most worried about besides Jalen Hurts on this offense going into this game? Do you know? Because we've been that team that didn't run the ball first 6 weeks, but lately we've been running the ball, like being one of the tops in the NFL. So we got power versus power going into this game. Everybody knows that you guys stopped the run, and right now we are doing a great job running it. So besides Jalen Hurts, if Miles Sanders were to play, even though we've been doing this without him, so even if he does come back, he's probably going to be on a limited basis, you know what I'm saying? Are you worried about any of our receivers going against your DBs? Devontae Smith, Quez Watkins, Rager. We got Dallas Goedert said he's going to be playing again this week.
What do y'all expect from Goddard?
I expect him to play. We just gave him a fat contract. He talked like he was healthy, so I expect him to do a good job. Like 2 games before that, he had like 70 yards and touchdowns both games, something like that. So he's been getting a little bit better, and I think it was the whole thing. We needed to start running the ball. Our offense was passing the ball like 40, 50 times a game, and it wasn't being very productive because we didn't run the ball. But ever since we started running the ball, and as long as we keep Jalen Hurts within that 20 to 25 passing range, I think it's going to open it up for a lot of people, to be open. Devontae Smith has definitely been benefiting from that.
I think you asked me one player. Goddard's interesting because of, you mentioned that Chauncey Gardner-Johnson isn't going to play. And as the nickel, he's sort of that nickel safety role, and he draws the tight end a lot. And they're just not as good without him out there. You probably see P.J. Williams out there in his role. And P.J.'s a nice player. He's a veteran. He's a long corner. But he ain't. Chauncey's that guy who, look, man, I saw him at Florida. You're playing against LSU. And when he played at Florida, he is the guy that you hate him when he's on the other team. Mm-hmm. I mean, you want to punch him in the face. That's how much you hate him. But when he's on your team, you're like, yeah, man, I'm going to war with that guy. Like, right. You love, like, when he's on your team, you love him. I mean, this guy got a fight with Michael Thomas at practice last year. Michael Thomas was suspended for a game because he punched Chauncey Gardner-Johnson at practice, his own teammate.
Wow.
Because he got in his head. Like, Chauncey is that dude. I'm telling you. He's a tilt the field guy. Anyway, so him not being out there makes it interesting about Goddard. Maybe Goddard can get loose a little bit. But I'll give you Devontae Smith because, look, Marshawn Lattimore, when he is right, is as good a cornerback as there is in the NFL. I mean, the Saints made him the 11th overall pick a few years ago. And he has embarrassed Mike Evans throughout his career. Mm-hmm. I mean, and it's so strange because there's times where Lattimore gets up for big moments and plays like the best cornerback in the NFL. Mm-hmm. And then there's days where he's just asleep on the field. I mean, watching Adam Thielen in the playoffs just own Marshawn Lattimore is like, how do you so thoroughly dominate some of the best receivers in the NFL and then look like you are hapless other days? So my opinion on this game on Sunday is the Saints are going to commit to stopping the run, and they're going to trust their defenders, and because they have to say, hey, Jalen Hurts, beat me with your arm. Mm-hmm. And if Lattimore is up, he can go lock down Devontae Smith. There's no doubt. But if he's not, Devontae Smith could have a big day. Yeah. So you'll know early in that respect.
Have they been playing Jenkins in the slot?
Some, but That's going to be more of a. I'm telling you, that's going to be more of a PJ Williams draw. So normally when they're in nickel, it's Chauncey, and then the dime back is PJ, and with Chauncey out, PJ Williams is going to slide into that role, and they're going to keep Malcolm back deep. Malcolm can obviously help defend the run as well, but they got good safeties, man. Malcolm's long in the tooth, obviously, but he's such a savvy vet. He's always in the right place. Still a physical player. I'm sure. I know the same reason y'all loved him. I mean, same too.
Never missed a game, man.
He's durable. Over there. Exactly, man. And then Marcus Williams, is a, he's playing another franchise tag this year. He's going to get broke off after the season. Many people don't really know his name. They remember him for the Minneapolis Miracle. He missed that tackle against the Vikings in the playoffs. On Stephon Diggs. But man, when you look at him statistically, go look him up. I mean, look at the top 5 highest paid safeties in the NFL, and statistically, through the first 5 years of a career, he is right in line with all of them. I mean, he's been great. He's just known for a couple of big gaffes,
Yeah. We got a question for you. That's something I want to know. You are an LSU guy. What was your impression of Stevens? We drafted him this round. He hasn't made it off the practice squad yet. You know what I'm saying? Like, Jacoby.
Stevens?
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know he was in Philly. So Jacoby was – so are they playing him at safety or linebacker?
Tweener.
Yeah. See, man.
All right, or he's labeled as a linebacker, though. I think he should still play safety.
You know who he is? So Jacoby was a 5-star out of Tennessee. He was the number 1 safety in the country when he signed with LSU. And he showed up here, and he wasn't ready to play safety in the SEC. Physically, he was fine, but learning the position at that level is a big difference when you're in high school and you're just better than everybody physically. And then when people are on your level physically, you got to learn the position. He even gave it some run at receiver as a freshman just to try to get him on the field. But tell you, man, when he came into his own, they started playing him help me. Guy from Clemson, drafted by Arizona, the hybrid safety linebacker. Why am I blanking?
He played for Arizona, you said?
Yeah. Why am I blanking? I'm blanking. LSU played against Cincinnati. I can't remember his name. Anyway, someone will post it. He is
Buda Baker.
No, not Buda Baker. I got to look it up now. I know this is terrible.
Isaiah Simmons.
Isaiah Simmons. Thank you. Jesus, I don't know why. Thank you. He is Jacoby Stevens is a poor man version of Isaiah Simmons. He ain't the 10th pick in the draft. You know what I mean? He's not that guy, but he's the guy that he's athletic enough to rush the pass. And this is when he was most effective at LSU. He's athletic enough to rush the passer, and he is athletic enough to cover a back or a tight end, and he is physical enough to play the run. I'm surprised that they haven't found. Now, I don't know the Eagles roster 1 of 53, so I can't tell you why he hadn't gotten on the field. But that's a guy that I would have told you if you had asked me before the draft last year. That's a guy who's going to play special teams and is going to find his way onto a defense and play 10 years in the NFL. He stayed healthy his whole time in Baton Rouge. He is physically gifted enough to match up with anybody. I think if you're stashing him on a practice squad right now, that's going to be a good find in time. I'm a little surprised he's not on the roster right now.
Me too. We'll all be wondering about that, like what's going on. I think it's more because they're trying to make him into that linebacker, and I don't think he needs to be a linebacker. I think he needs to stay at safety. That's just my opinion of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, he could be physical. He could be the box safety, come up and play the run a lot, that type of safety. But, I think moving him to like an outside linebacker is kind of stretching it. He's not big enough really for that. And
he wouldn't. And if you tried to bulk him up to 235, 240, he would be too big. Like he'd lose his. I agree with you. The box safety is probably the best role for him, where he can be a pass rusher as well. I mean, if he could get in the right system where they use him the way Dave Aranda used him at the end of his career at LSU. I mean, I don't have his numbers in front of me, but he was a guy who ended up pushing double-digit sacks. I mean, I don't think he was at that number, but they bring him on design blitzes, and he's fast and athletic enough to do it. Yeah, I'm a little surprised, man. I'm a little surprised Jacoby is buried on the practice squad right now.
My buddy said, which three rookies have impressed you the most this year from the Saints?
Man, they had a light draft class. The Saints have kind of gone with the idea of quality over quantity. Unfortunately, the first-round pick, Peyton Turner, hadn't done a darn thing. He's been injured. Now, when he's been out there, he's flashed a little bit. And I don't think he's going to play. He's got a shoulder injury. He's not going to play this week either. So you're not going to see him. I'm telling you, this has been a snake-bitten team. I know everybody deals with injuries, but this has been an odd year for the Saints. But I'd probably give you Pete Werner, who's a linebacker from Ohio State. He was a second-round pick. And, the Saints re-signed Quan Alexander. Quan, I don't know if you'll know Quan's story. He had bounced around a little bit in the NFL, and the Saints traded for him midway through the year last year, and he was balling out, man. He tore his AC, or he ruptured his Achilles on Christmas Day against the Vikings. And usually that's a year-long injury. Dude busts his behind in rehab, got back and got healthy and played the opener. But then he had another injury early in the season. Pete Werner ended up starting for him. Rookie out of Ohio State, man, did not miss a beat. So, other than that, there really ain't any other rookies to talk about, man. Kawan Baker was a 7th-round draft pick, a little receiver. He's on the practice squad. I think they only drafted 5 guys in last year's draft. So, there ain't much to talk about by way of rookies on the Saints team.
Well, which player you think is playing too much on the Saints, and which player you think needs to be playing a little bit more?
Well, the guy, you ask any Saints fan, they're going to tell you the guy that's playing too much right now is the tight end Adam Troutman, and he's probably been the biggest disappointment. So, Sean Payton has always had you know what? I'll give you one more rookie, Paulson Adebo. Paulson Adebo is a rookie corner out of Stanford. He opted out last year, and because of some injury, he's had to emerge as the number 2. He wears number 29. Y'all probably haven't seen him at all, but he's a long corner, and he has surprised a lot of people. So you're going to see Paulson Adebo a bunch. He don't play like a rookie. You'll keep an eye on him. He'll play a ton. He'll start. Back to Troutman. Troutman was so Sean Payton's always had the pass catching tight end, right? From Jeremy Shockey to Jimmy Graham to
Cooks.
Jared Cook, and they had before him Kobe Fleener. They took a flyer on him in free. They actually paid him a lot of money in free agency. But Sean Payton's always had like the big physical tight end that can block, and then the pass catching tight end. Well, they let Jared Cook walk in free agency, another cap casualty, and they were really excited about Troutman. They took him last year in the 3rd round out of Dayton, and toward the end of his rookie year, he started to see his snap count increase, and you could tell they were priming him for a big breakout year this year. And brother, I got to tell you, man, he's been a massive disappointment. He sucks. I think his PFF grade's around like a 64. What? He drops passes. He can't pass block. The one thing he's a plus player at right now is run blocking. But that doesn't warrant staying on the field. So something to keep an eye on is they signed Nick Vanette from Denver in free agency this year. And that's not a big name or anything like that, but Nick Vanette's been on IR. He's healthy and will probably be active on Sunday. Don't be surprised if you see a lot of Nick Vanette.
All right. He said love Cesar Ruiz, Calvin Thornton, Eric McCoy.
Said, I'm reading that comment. Miami should have drafted him at 18. I'm going to tell you what. Cesar Ruiz is another guy that's been a big disappointment. And it's not exactly his fault. This is why. So Ruiz they took in the 1st round a year ago out of Michigan. And he's a natural center. But the year before, they drafted Eric McCoy with their 1st pick out of Texas A&M. Well, they drafted McCoy to play guard. Their center, Max Unger, up and retired before the year, like late in the process. So they moved McCoy to center, and he ends up becoming a freaking stud at center. So McCoy has been so good at center, they draft Ruiz and play Ruiz at guard, but guard ain't his natural position. He's a center. So he's playing out of position. And tell you what, man, that Eagles defensive front, if they want to eat, line up on 51 because that's a problem. He's a problem.
He's that bad? Because I remember he was good at Michigan.
He's great at Michigan, but he's playing center. And I bet you he'd be a great center in the NFL. But the conundrum is, if you're Sean Payton, if you're Dan Rauscher, if you're the Saints coaching staff, you're looking going, all right, well, McCoy is a plus center. And the center touches the ball every play. And he calls out the protections. And, like, we got this guy that's great. Do we want to alter the guy who's touching the ball on every play?
Right.
I mean, look, whenever McCoy got hurt earlier this year, missed 3 games because everybody on this freaking team's been hurt this year.
We know about it.
Ruiz moved to center and played well, and Calvin Throckmorton played next to him. Throckmorton is a freaking brick wall, dude. He was an undrafted free agent. Dude, he's a giant human that moves bodies. Like, I don't worry about him. He's fine, bro. But Ruiz at right guard, and now especially with Ramczyk out, when Ruiz is playing between McCoy and Ramczyk, he's got his pillars bordering him to protect him. You know what I mean? Now Ramczyk's out. I don't even know who's going to – I mean, maybe Brian Mills. Like, I don't even know who's going to play right tackle for the Saints on Sunday. I literally have no idea. I mean, I have no idea. I think it'll be Brian Mills, but I can't guarantee that. So,
they won't move him out? He's not big enough, huh?
No, he can't play tackle. But that's my point. So now he's losing the best right tackle in football playing next to him, and now it's going to be journeyman Brian Mills. I mean, come on. I'm telling you, man, this game is going to be so fascinating to see if the Saints can find a way to move the foot. The Saints defense is going to be fine. Like, the Saints defense will be fine against Philly. They are that good. Demario Davis is a freak show. He's the most underrated linebacker in the NFL. They're good on the boundary. They're great against the run. Like, the Saints defense will keep them in this game, like they've done in every game they play. Right. The question is, can this offense find a way to move the ball? I mean,
even without those DTs playing this week?
Yeah.
They got good enough rotation in the middle.
Look, David Onyemata is another guy who I don't know if y'all know much about, but you know, he is a vastly underrated interior player. Strong as a bull, man. He played college in Canada, and so the Saints used a middle round pick on him. And he's Nigerian by birth, played collegiately in Canada, so he's late to the game of football. And you could just see the potential. It's like, man, they ever hone his skill, he's going to be a dude, and he is. He's that guy. Now he missed the first 6 games, not for injury, but for PED suspension. But he's back in the middle. He's a stud. Cam Jordan's one of the best run stuffing defensive ends. He's awesome. Marcus Davenport's a former first-round pick who's finally staying healthy and playing like it. Shai Tuttle has been a really nice surprise, undrafted free agent out of Tennessee in his 2nd or 3rd year now, is playing well. They got enough bodies. They got enough bodies on that defensive front to maintain and to play really well. So they'll be fine. It's okay. They'll be. My little boy just walked into my office, so he'll probably gonna come join us here. Hi.
No worries.
Let's see you, bro.
We love the kids here. We love the kids. I got a bunch of them.
This is Drew. He's 7. Drew's got some special needs, but he likes to just come hang out in Daddy's office every now and again.
Nice.
You got boogers all over your face. Why don't you go find Mom and go wipe your nose, bro? Dad life. Huh?
I know about it, man. I know
you do. I know you do. Go wipe your nose. Okay. Daddy's going to talk. Can you say who dat? Who dat?
Who dat? Nice. You got him a future Saints fan right there. Future Saints fan. He don't
have a choice, brother.
Right? That's how I tell all my kids. You guys will be Eagle fans, and you guys will watch them, and you guys will love them. I got my little boy. He got arthrogryposis, and he can say the whole Eagles chant. He'd be like, E-A-G-A. I'm like, yeah, son. He's only like almost 2 years old in January. I'm like, yeah, you making Daddy proud already.
You know what's funny, man? I have a buddy who his whole family's from New York, and they're all Giants fans, and so he just decided to piss everybody off. He was going to be an Eagles fan. So one of my best friends who lives here in Louisiana is an Eagles fan. Man, I've made fun of him for so many years, man, with McNabb and all the great playoff teams that could never get over the hump. And then lo and behold, when they finally won a Super Bowl, I was like, damn.
Yeah. You guys got a little wager this weekend? Just a little wager?
I don't know that I want to this weekend because it probably won't go my way, and I hate to lose. I'm bitter like that.
He said, we got a question here. What are 3 keys for this game to beat the Eagles?
All right, one is obviously stop the run, because that's what cost the Saints game a year ago when Miles Sanders and Jalen Hurts both went over 100 yards. So you got to stop the run. That's one. I really believe, and this is, I mean, I'm sorry for this. It's the most cliche thing in the world, but they got to win the turnover battle. Because, and this is why. Let me just give you an example of a week ago. Saints went and played the Titans. They lose by 2. Saints fumble the opening kickoff of the second half, 7 points for Tennessee. I mean, that's the difference in the game. When the Saints beat the Bucs, they forced 3 turnovers and had a pick 6. Like this Saints team, it's so weird to say it because it's Sean Payton and all, the reputation he's gotten. He is a great play caller, but the problem is when they can't move the ball, they've got to get short field opportunities. They've got to get short field scoring opportunities. So the Saints got to win the turnover battle. And the other, this is going to be weird, but I'm telling you, this is going to be a huge part of the game, is place kicking. The Saints have gone through, so their place kicker, Will Lutz, had an abdominal injury before the season started, and he's done for the year, by the way. The kicker's done for the year. Sean infamously had 11 kickers in his first 11 seasons in New Orleans. What? Sean don't mess around with kickers. He finally got one in Will Lutz. He got a dude, all right?
He's good.
And Lutz is hurt. So they have gone through 5 kickers this year alone.
Who started the year after him? Lutz. Wasn't it Wong or something like that?
Lutz. They had Aldrich Rosas. They signed Brett Maher. Then they went to Brian Johnson, who missed 2 PATs. The Saints lost the game to Tennessee by 2 points. He missed 2 PATs. There's 2 PATs. I mean, you're on the road against Tennessee, and you have a chance to win despite all the personnel losses, and your idiot kicker misses 2 PATs. So he got waived. They re-signed Brett Maher, so they're their 5th kicker this year. So Brett Maher, can you actually make a kick? I'm serious. Pay very close attention to that, because if Maher misses a kick and Payton doesn't feel like he's going to be confident, it will alter. The Saints will go for it on 4th down instead of attempting a field goal. Like, it will alter how he calls the game if he don't trust his kicker. So keep an eye on that. I'll give you those 30.
And then play devil's advocate. What do the Eagles need to do to beat the Saints this week?
Just don't turn the ball over. I mean, just don't turn the ball over. I don't think. I mean, I know the line. I think it's 2.5. I don't love Jalen Hurts as an NFL quarterback. I think the Saints defense will limit the Eagles' production. I think you're talking about a teens game. Like, I think this is maybe a 19-17, 21-18 type game. I think that's the game we're looking at. I think it's going to be ugly. But I really think that Philly is just – I know they're 0-4 at home. I mean, I know it hasn't been dynamic at times offensively, but I think the Saints are not a good enough team offensively right now to really put the Eagles in uncomfortable position. So it's almost like, as long as you just play your game, shorten the game, run the football, make plays in the passing game when they're there. I mean, I'd love to see the Saints step up and win this game. I just can't in good conscience look at what they're going up to Philly without. The personnel losses they are without, and pick the Saints to win this game. So I'd love to be wrong, man, but it's really hard for me to see it.
Hey, shout out to the 19 in the chat. Please make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe to all channels. Matt Moscow's, he got 3 channels in here, so make sure you go subscribe to all of them. This guy putting out that fire, you know what I'm saying? So, and if you're a Saints fan, BIRDGANG 31, that'd be great if you subscribe. We like fans from all over here. So much love to all you guys. He said, is Sean Payton happy with the Saints? And if Judge gets fired from the Giants, do you think he might take one of those offers?
I'll tell you this, man. Sean Payton is known as a guy that's not going to be a coaching lifer. He's from the Bill Parcells tree. He still talks to Bill Parcells often. And you know as well as I do, man, Bill Parcells got out of the game early from coaching and went front office, and that's what I think Sean will do. I think eventually, whenever Sean leaves the Saints, but Gail Benson is not going to let Sean Payton coach anywhere else. He's making $8 million a year. I believe only Belichick makes more. Sean Payton will not coach for another NFL team. I'm very confident in saying that.
You don't think so?
There were always rumors about Dallas because he has a home in Dallas. He came to the Saints he was in Dallas as OC. I know he's with the Giants as OC as well. But Sean lives in Dallas in the offseason. And that was always a fear. Would Jerry try to pluck Sean out of New Orleans? And every time that came up, the Bensons came and threw more money at him. It's just the Saints have never had success as a franchise. You got to understand, man, this franchise was founded in 1967, okay, in a city that did not have professional sports and doesn't have a major college. They love LSU. And the Saints didn't win a playoff game until 2000. I mean, you went 33 years without winning a playoff game. 33 years without winning a playoff game. They didn't make the playoffs for 20 years until 1987. So historically, this team has had no success until Sean Payton got here. He is beloved. He is iconic. He can do no wrong. Like Sean Payton, they will make sure that he finishes his coaching career in New Orleans. And then if he chooses to go into the front office somewhere, maybe in New Orleans, but in the front office job somewhere, I think that's the path he would follow. But I don't think Sean Payton's not going to coach until he's 75 years old. That's not going to be in Sean Payton's future.
Do you think it's more because he had Drew Brees, like that dominant quarterback, or do you just think, do you think Jameis is the guy? You know what I'm saying? Or do you think you guys need to draft the quarterback next year?
So that's going to be a really interesting question, right? So look, they were 5-0 last year without Drew Brees, or 2 years ago when Drew Brees got hurt and Teddy Bridgewater started.
Uh-huh.
And then last year you were 3-1 with Taysom Hill. So, I mean, without Drew Brees before this season, Peyton was 8-1 without him. Sean Payton is a hell of a coach, man.
No, yeah, I know.
He's
dope.
He's a stud. The reality is, though, you can't win at the highest level in the NFL without elite quarterback play. People are going to point to Nick Foles and say, well, Nick Foles won a Super Bowl. Yes, he did. Nick Foles played like an elite quarterback in that stretch run.
Yeah.
I mean, is that sustainable for Foles throughout his career? No, and we've seen that it's not.
He's good at chunks of games. He's not good at the whole season.
For that moment in time, it worked. And it brought Philly a championship, and y'all got a big statue of him out front, bro.
And Carson helped that year, too. I think we were, 13-2 at the time. So Nick Foles didn't have to do too much. Carson set him up, but home field advantage and all that good stuff had the team rolling pretty good in the right direction at that time. So Nick just had to come in and not mess it up.
He'd have been the MVP. Carson Wentz would have been MVP that year.
Facts.
If he didn't get hurt. But I like Jameis. I believe here's my quick take on Jameis, all right? Jameis Winston is a guy who his entire life has been athletically superior at everything he's ever done. Mm-hmm. He could have been a first-round draft pick in baseball if he wanted to. Mm-hmm. He was the Heisman Trophy winner, national champion, number 1 overall pick. Jameis Winston never faced athletic adversity in his life until he got to Tampa and started throwing interceptions. And my whole thing was always, man, you get him with the right coach that can coach good decision making into him, he can succeed. And you and I are both, we're both fathers, and the thing that people talk about with the immaturity about Jameis, I've always said, look, man, when you get married and you become a father, it changes you.
That first kid. Woo.
If people are judging the 19, 20-year-old who rose to instant superstardom, winning the Heisman as a redshirt freshman at Florida State, compared to the nearly 30-year-old man who's married with a child, how different were you at 27 than you were at 19? All of us, right?
Right.
The thing about Jameis is he went vegan, he lost weight, he got LASIK surgery to fix his eyes. He had options the year before, to sign free agent deals. Decided to go to New Orleans to sit behind Drew Brees so he could learn, kept his mouth shut. He was the perfect teammate. His actions proved that he was he wanted to be better. So I was bullish on Jameis. I hated to see the injury, man, because which you could tell what Sean Payton was doing. They had the handcuffs on him to coach the mistakes out of him.
Mhm.
And slowly but surely, they were giving him more and more and more and more. And eventually, I think it was going to be a beautiful flower. I don't know what they do now. There's not a single quarterback in this draft. There's not a single quarterback in this draft that I would say take that guy in the first round. Not one. So, and could the Saints find themselves in the Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson sweepstakes?
Yeah, or
If that's-
Deshaun Watson.
If that's the case, you 100% do it. Otherwise, they probably stick with Jameis.
Okay. What about Michael Thomas? You think he's coming back?
Yeah, they're committed to Michael Thomas, man. The other thing too is you certainly wouldn't cut Michael Thomas, and you gave him $100 million contract. So what team is going to take on that contract and give up assets to get him when the reputation right now is injuries, bad egg in the locker room, hid his injury from the team, all that sort of stuff. I don't know that you have a trading partner that matches. And I'll tell you, Michael Thomas, you can always tell a lot when Sean Payton speaks. In the offseason, when Thomas first learned about his injury and then he kind of hit it, Sean Payton was pissed and said as much. When we found out Thomas kind of had a setback and he was done for the year, Payton was much more kid gloves understanding, like, look, man, he's been working his butt off to get back. You could tell he's in the good graces. He was with the team. Michael Thomas is going to be back, and I think he's going to be fine in New Orleans. This was a very, very unfortunate situation, a time where the Saints could hardly afford it, but it's the way it
So you
played
don't
out.
think so? All that noise is just noise when they talk about him maybe not being back next year with you guys.
He'll be back. I don't know. I really don't see a scenario where he would be gone, where the Saints could get requisite trade value for him from a salary cap standpoint. I don't see the path for him not being in.
Like, we could trade you Fletcher Cox for Michael Thomas. They both got huge contracts. Just go ahead and switch it over. We get the receiver, you get the DT that made that defense better.
But the other thing you got to remember too is we're sitting here talking about the Saints have no receivers. You're going to give away one of the best ones in the NFL. I mean, they are hurting at receiver. I mean, you're going to see Deontay Harris.
What's that guy's name? Marquise or?
Isn't that the problem? What's that guy's name? Like, hey, what's that guy's name? Right. What's that guy's name? Exactly. You nailed it. You're talking Saints wide receiver. What's that? That's exactly it. When you're talking Saints wide receivers, you're talking what's that guy's name?
I remember. Isn't his name
Marcus
Marquise
Callaway.
and Harris?
You're talking about
Harris?
Marcus Callaway, Deontay Harris, Kenny Stills is back for a second round in New Orleans. They pulled Kevin White off the scrap pile somewhere and still giving him run out there. I mean, former 7th overall pick who played in like 6 career games. I mean, it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing.
But so you're saying Harris isn't doing good?
No, Deontay Harris is. He's their best receiver right now. The problem is Deontay Harris would be a really good number 3. You know what I mean? Like, if Deontay Harris was matched up on your slot, I like him as the number 3. Yeah, I like him as number 3. I don't love him as my number 1 game breaker, right?
Yeah. All right. Well, let's. What do you think? You said the score is going to be about. What's your score prediction for the game?
Yeah, I'll go Philly 21-18, something like that. I think it's a teens, low 20s game. I think Philly probably squeezes it out. If it comes down to the Saints making a kick, I just don't trust that they'll do it.
Okay, I like that. See, I don't even have to say my score prediction. He said we're going to win. I'll roll with that, and let's keep that one good. Let's go ahead and do that all-time Saints team, my guy. I know you got to get out of here pretty soon. I think he answered that question already. Yeah, he said 10-7, and he said he still thinks about 10-7, right?
I think before Kamara was injured, I probably could have stuck with it.
Because you guys are only second in division, right?
Yeah, they're a game behind Tampa. If they just finished, the last 2 games, man, like you give up the bomb against Atlanta and then you miss 2 PATs against Tennessee. Otherwise, you'd be a 7-win team. You'd be leading the division right now, man. It's so frustrating, man, because this team is not good enough. And the margin in the NFL is so small anyway. They're not good enough to make mistakes like missing 2 PATs or fumbling the opening kickoff of the second half. But it's just been too consistent, man. So I mean, they're the making of a 500 team, man. You blow out Green Bay, you get blown out by Carolina. You go up to New England and win, you come home and lose to the Giants. You beat Tampa Bay, you lose to Atlanta. I mean, that roller coaster is the making of a 500 team in the NFL. So they're probably
How tough is your schedule? The end of the way after us.
This is the one thing. They've got the 24th toughest schedule remaining. So they do have a manageable schedule. They're going to play Carolina and Atlanta again. They're going to play the Dolphins and the Jets. They got some winnable games. They got some tough games. They got to play Buffalo and Dallas. They got Tampa again. But they got winnable games. I mean, this is a team that can push above 500, but is 9-8 going to be enough to get you in the wild card? You know, if you have to get to 10, I think that's challenging. I think like if you're going to get there, you got to win this game on Sunday.
You beat Tampa Bay already, right?
Yeah.
And you play them again.
Yep.
So if you got to beat them twice, there you go, right? Because they're the leaders. That give you guys an edge there.
Maybe Tom Brady's finally almost done, man. Maybe.
He says, do you think Pete Carmichael is ready to be a head coach?
Yeah. I'm surprised he hasn't got more of a look. I think so much of that is just because Sean Payton gets all the credit for the offense. And he deserves it. But there have been times throughout his career where Pete Carmichael's been the play caller. And I do think, look, enough guys on the Saints staff have been plucked away. I mean, Dan Campbell with the Lions right now. You know, Joe Lombardi's been plucked away. Dennis Allen got plucked away and was a head coach. I think Aaron Cromer, you know, was on the Saints staff, got plucked away and got hired by the Bears. You know, I think Carmichael will get his chance. I'm actually surprised it hadn't happened already. All
right. Well, let's get to this team, man. Who's your all-time favorite Saints quarterback, and who'll be backing them up?
That's the easiest one that you'll do ever on this, except if you ask a Patriots guy and he tells you Tom Brady, it's Drew Brees. I mean, if you go to a number 2 quarterback behind Drew Brees, it would be Bobby Hebert. Bobby Hebert was the quarterback of those Dome Patrol teams in the late 80s and early 90s, and punched the Saints' first playoff ticket in 1987. He still does radio in New Orleans, the Cajun Cannon, the founding father of the Houdat Nation. So Drew Brees, your starter, your backup would be Bobby Hebert.
Give me 3 running backs.
Oh, I get to do 3. Hell yeah. Alvin Kamara, who I don't just love. I think I'm in love with Alvin Kamara. I'm not in an unhealthy relationship with Alvin Kamara. They've just never had anyone as dynamic as he is. He is just spectacular. As a kid, my favorite player was Dalton Hilliard. Dalton Hilliard, if you don't remember, he's an OG, wore 21 for the black and gold. Give me Dalton Hilliard, thighs this big, man. Alvin Kamara, Dalton Hilliard, and Deuce McAllister. Deuce is one of the all-time great Saints. Saints leading rusher until Mark Ingram just broke his record last week. So Mr. Deuce, man, he was awesome.
Throw in the fullback.
Fullback. Give me the late, great Hokie Gajan. Name you won't know, but a guy who played at LSU.
There it is. Hokie Gajan.
Hokie Gajan, man. Awesome man. May he rest in peace.
Give me 2 tight ends.
Tight end, you got to go with Jimmy Graham because he was an all-pro. And the other that I'll give you is I kind of waffle a little bit because I'm going to give you Hobie Brenner. Hobie Brenner was a Saints tight end during those Bobby Hebert teams, and he wasn't super fast or athletic, but if his hand touched the football, he was going to catch it. So give me Jimmy Graham and Hobie Brenner.
Who'll be in that starting offensive line?
Your centers.
Give me 4 receivers first. 4 receivers.
4 receivers. Okay. Michael Thomas is the absolute no-brainer. Marcus Colston, Saints all-time leader in every category. He'll get passed by Michael Thomas. I'll give you Hollywood Joe Horn taking the cell phone out from underneath the goalpost pad, a game breaker, and then I'll give you Eric Martin. Martin didn't have blazing speed, but he was that tough guy that caught everything, would go over the middle, and can jump out of the building. So those would be my 4 receivers.
Okay, now give me that offensive line.
Center, give me Joel Hilgenberg. Evans and Carl Nicks were the first ever teammates to both earn All-Pro honors in the same season. So that both Saints guards from that Super Bowl team were first team All-Pro. And I hope one day Jari Evans finds his way to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. But Evans and Nicks, and then honestly, your two tackles right now are the best tackles the Saints have ever had. Teron Armstead at left tackle, Ryan Ramczyk at right tackle.
Even over Turk?
Well, okay, let me rephrase. All right. I'll take Teron Armstead out, and I'll put in Willie Roaf. I have to. Willie Roaf, okay. Willie Roaf is a Hall of Famer, is a Pro Football Hall of Famer. So I'll put Willie Roaf at tackle, and I'll put Ryan Ramczyk at the other. You're going to ask about Kyle Turley, I think. And I would not put Kyle Turley in there. He was a lunatic who threw a helmet one time against the Jets. Helmet, that's what he did. He goes, helmet. Not Kyle Turley. Willie Roaf's in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I would take Willie Roaf, and I would take Ryan Ramczyk.
And what about your star defensive line?
Man, this is where it gets really tough because of how you classify guys. So the Saints Dome Patrol, the linebackers in the early 90s, the late Sam Mills, the late Vaughn Johnson, Ricky Jackson, Pro Football Hall of Famer, and Pat Swilling were the first team ever that put 4 linebackers all in the Pro Bowl in the same year. So Ricky Jackson's in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, but I would classify him as a linebacker, but he was also sort of an outside linebacker in a 3-4. Now I've got a Saints fan in here watching. If he's throwing out Leroy Glover and Derland Moore and Jim Wilkes and Wayne Martin, that's a guy, or Frank Warren. That's a guy who knows his stuff right there.
Dude, this guy knows every single team. Every week I have different content creators, and he'd be throwing them up there left and right. He's old school. He's the best little moderator ever.
I would love it. Yeah, Leroy Glover would definitely be in that interior defensive line. No, yeah, I'm almost done. Yeah. All right, Leroy Glover would be on the defensive line. I would take Wayne Martin as well. My ends, I'd take Cam Jordan. And that's where I kind of go like, what do I do with Ricky Jackson? Do I put him as an outside backer?
You get 3 linebackers, so if you need to put him in at that end to make 3 linebackers,
that's what I would do. And then my linebackers, I would put Demario Davis, current Saints linebacker. I would take the great Sam Mills, and then I would take Vaughn Johnson as well. With respect, by the way, to Jonathan Vilma.
Oh yeah, Vilma was a beast. Yeah, give me 3 cornerbacks.
There aren't 3 good ones in their history. I would give you Marshawn Lattimore, who's there right now. I would have to give you Tracy Porter out of respect and love for what he did in the Super Bowl, pick-sixing Peyton Manning to seal it. And there might be someone somewhere along the way that I'm missing. He's saying Dave Waymer. There's no way you could put Johnny Poe on that list. That's got to be a joke. And Toy Cook played safety, so I wouldn't put him at cornerback. But I'd probably throw Mike McKenzie in there because he became a guy on that Super Bowl team that, although he played the majority of his career in Green Bay, he was an influential guy in the greatest season the Saints ever had.
I forgot Eric Allen played. Did you like him with you guys?
Yeah, EA was at the end of his career, man. He wasn't the same guy he was in Philly when he was in New York.
He wasn't good over there?
No. I'm telling you, man, the Saints are notorious for like drafting Alex Molden in the first round out of Oregon and Johnny Poe. No.
3 safeties.
Hi, Hershey. Sammy Knight Sammy Knight's in the Saints Hall of Fame. I see someone put him up there. Gotta be Sammy Knight. I would take Roman Harper and I would take Malcolm Jenkins, man. I think, and honestly, there's probably a day where if you ask me this in another 2 or 3 years, I think C.J. Gardner-Johnson will be on that list, but not yet.
Okay. Who's going to be your kicker, your punter, and your return specialist?
Kicker's easy. That's Morton Anderson, number retired by the New Orleans Saints, Pro Football Hall of Famer. Punter is Thomas Morstead, greatest punter the Saints ever had, just first season after a long 15-year run in New Orleans. First season not in New Orleans. And then return specialist, give me the beer man. Y'all remember Michael Lewis, the beer man?
Michael Lewis
from driving a beer truck to look, now Reggie Bush is probably the answer.
I was going to say Darren Sproles. Didn't he do good?
Yeah, but again, it's a longevity thing. Reggie's probably the answer, but give me the beer man anyway.
All right. Who's going to be the defensive coordinator on this team?
You got to remember, man, we're living through the golden era right now. So give me Dennis Allen, and OC. Give me Sean Payton.
Who's gonna be the head coach?
Sean Payton? Are you kidding me?
Double duty for Sean.
Want to pick Jim Haslett? Am I gonna pick Mike? Am I gonna pick Mike Ditka? Circa
Jim
97,
Moore, right?
wearing a wedding dress?
Was Moore your coach?
Moore was, yeah. Moore would be number 2 behind Sean Payton. Yeah.
Nice, man. But hey, man, thanks again. Before I get you out of here, have you ever been? How many Saints games have you been in? What was your favorite Saints game you ever been to?
Oh, that's the easiest question in the world. I mean, I'm gonna show you this. Hang on. I'm in my office at my house. Above the door, you can't see what it is, but that's a picture of the dome coming above my door. That was when they reopened the Superdome after Hurricane Katrina. Steve Gleason blocked the punt. Saints blew out the Falcons on Monday Night Football. For so many reasons, on top of just beating your rival, man. When the city was on its knees and 80% of it was covered in water, and most people thought the Saints might never come back or the city might never come back. And man, less than a year, or right at about a year after Hurricane Katrina, they reopened that building. And dude, just thinking about it right now, I'm dead serious. I wish you could see this. I got goosebumps all over my arms. Like, until the day I die, there won't be a single moment of my life. If you ask me what's the greatest sports moment I ever witnessed, it was that one, because it was so much more than sports. It was,
yeah.
I mean, it was a city, a region, an entire state of people who, in that moment, it was an emotional release being in that building. I mean, strangers hugging and crying, and just
energy probably was electric in there.
There was just nothing like it. I hope in my life I never experienced anything else like it, because that means we would have to go through some horrible tragedy for it to mean what that game meant.
Nice. And what about players? Have you met any players?
Oh man,
who's your favorite player you ever met from the Saints?
I meet them all, man. Gotta be Dalton. Well, Dalton Hilliard was my childhood idol, so I'll give you Dalton Hilliard, man. But I mean, doing what I do for a living.
Yeah,
you cover the team, and you know a lot of the guys and the players. But Bobby Hebert's a trip, and Dalton was my childhood idol, so I probably still get a little starstruck when I see him, just because it's the guy that when I was a kid was larger than life,
Nice. Well, go ahead and let everybody know one more time. We still got 17 in here. Let them know where they can find you at again, and we can get you out of here, my guy.
My pleasure, man. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you for coming on. It's a pleasure. It's been great.
If you go to 1045ESPN.com, that's our station website. You can see about the radio show. My YouTube channel is Matt Moscona. My radio show has a YouTube channel as well, one that's dedicated to Saints content, one that's dedicated to LSU content. So after further review Saints, after further review LSU, and pretty much on any social media platform, man. You spell my name, you can find me.
All right, man. Hey, thank you guys for sticking around. Please like and subscribe to both channels. And like I always say, fly, Eagles, fly. This is a great show, and the Birds will win, hopefully. See you on Sunday. Peace.